It is 5:30. We will call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Wyrock,
President.
Councilmember Tate,
Present.
Vice Mayor Carrillo,
Present.
Mayor Flores.
Present. We'll now go into oral communications. This is the opportunity to address the City Council on any matter scheduled for closed session. Unless additional time is authorized by the council, all commentary shall be limited to 3 minutes. Is there anyone that would like to come forth under these oral communications for closed session? Do we have anyone on virtual?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. We'll now go into the City Council closed session items.
Thank you, Your Honor. There are 9 items before the council in closed session this evening. The first pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.8, calls for real property negotiators, property APN 261-130-004, agency negotiator John Lawless and Jason Reinauer, negotiating parties, City of Porterville and Cornerstone, Main Partners 2, LP under negotiation terms and price. Item 2, Government Code Section 54956.8, Conference of Real Property Negotiators, Property APN 302-122-001, Agency Negotiator John Lawless and Jason Reinauer, negotiating party City of Porterville and Lower Tule Irrigation District under negotiation terms and price. Item 3, Government Code Section 54956.8, Council of Real Property Negotiators, Property APN, a portion of 302-110-054, Agency Negotiator John Lawless and Jason Reinauer, negotiating party City of Porterville and Tule River Tribe of California under negotiation terms and price. Item 4, Government Code Section 54957.6, Council Labor Negotiator, Agency Negotiator John Lawless and Patrice Hildreth, Employee Organization, Porterville Peace Officer Association. Item 5, Government Code Section 54956.95, Liability Claim Claimant Stephanie Felix, agency claimed against City of Porterville. Item 6, Government Code Section 54956.95, Liability Claim Claimant Juventino Chavez, agency claimed against City of Porterville. Item 7, Government Code Section 54956.9, subsection D, subsection 1, Council Legal Counsel, existing litigation, Angelica Eldaco v. California Department of Transportation et al., Tulare County Superior Court case number PCU 293166. Item 8, Government Code Section 54956.9, subsection D, subsection 3, Council Legal Counsel, anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation for cases in which facts are not yet known to potential plaintiff. And item 9, Government Code Section 54956.9, subsection D, subsection 4, Council Legal Counsel, anticipated litigation, initiation of litigation, 1 case. Staff's report.
Thank you. It is 5:32. We will now go into closed session. It is, we will reconvene open session and report on reportable action taken in closed session.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, 2 items to report on. Felix, on a motion by Councilmember Wyrock, seconded by Vice Mayor Carrillo, and a 5-0 vote. That claim was denied. And then on item A6, claim by Juventino Chavez, motion by Councilmember Tate, seconded by Vice Mayor Carrillo, and a 5-0 vote. That claim is also denied. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to ask that you please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance and to remain standing for the invocation. Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty. Is there anyone that would like to come forth and do an invocation?
Dear Father above, we ask that you bless all of the people here in Porterville and those in need. Provide guidance to those who serve us and protection for those who wear our uniforms and put their lives on the line every day. We thank you for them, and we pray for the rest of the people in this town. Amen.
Amen. Is there anyone else that would like to come forth? You may be seated. Thank you. We are now going to move into oral communications. This is the opportunity to address the council on any matter of interest, whether on the agenda or not. Please address all items not scheduled for public hearing at this time. Unless additional time is authorized by the council, all commentary shall be limited to 3 minutes. I'm going to emphasize that the 3-minute time frame per speaker so that the city council can, in an orderly fashion, proceed with its scheduled decision-making responsibilities this evening. Once again, we'll ask you to state your name and address for the record, but we will adhere to the 3-minute per speaker time frame under oral communications. Is there anyone that would like to come forth at this time? Please, come forward. State your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Mike Hill, 25267 Avenue 196, Strathmore. Thanks for having me. I'm an ASB director at Porterville High School, and it was kind of a last-minute thing. You know, we want to kind of make the rivalry week more cohesive between schools, and we have did this in the past, and we're just asking for your blessing, I guess, to see if we can do ribbons in orange and green on one side of Main Street from City Hall to the end, and then on the other side, blue and gold. Ribbons on the poles on the way to the end, and then after that, both schools are going to come together, have a barbecue at Porterville High School, et cetera. And all I'm doing is getting your blessing to see if we can do that. And you
This is
better-
oral communications. It's not something we can comment.
Oh, okay, well, that's what they told me.
And
I was here
you'll
today.
need to work,
That's what
you'll
I
need to
wanted to
work with staff and get that information.
Staff
So-
can note your comment for the record and then work with you on that.
Okay,
So
well,
it is good that you
Thank
came.
I
you.
apologize, but that's
no,
what they
you're
told
good.
me to do
No,
today.
thank you very much.
No, it's good.
Thank you.
Good evening, City Council. I'm Christy Martin. I am here on behalf of the Porterville Chamber of Commerce. I've got a lot of stuff going on, so I will try to be very quick. We've been very busy this last month. I do want to thank everybody that came out to visit us at Business Showcase this last Wednesday. I was pleasantly surprised at how well received it was and how much everybody enjoyed it. So I have kept repeating, it all wouldn't be possible without the people that attended, the people that sponsored, and the people that were there with booth setups. So thank you to all of you that came out. And it sounds like we're doing it again next year because it was very popular. That we also have a lot more events coming up over the next month. So next Wednesday, the 26th at 6 p.m., we are going to be facilitating a City Council candidate forum. That is going to be here. And we welcome anybody to come and join in for that to watch. It's also going to be streaming on our YouTube channel provided all my technology works the way it's supposed to. Then on the 27th, we have our Government Affairs Committee meeting. That's at 12 p.m. via Zoom. Anybody is welcome to join in on that. It's a great way to learn some updates of what's going on with the different agencies in our area. And then our next First Friday Coffee is going to be November 4th. Those are the first Friday of every month. They are open for anybody to come and attend. It's a great time to come and network, meet other business owners, meet other organizations. And our upcoming sponsor for November is going to be Burton School District, and we're going to be learning more about their career tech education programs. So that's at 7 a.m. at Galaxy Theaters. Then on Thursday, November 10th, we're going to be hosting Business After Hours with Porterville Ford. So that's from 5:30 to 7, and that's going to be at their location. So they'll get to share some more about what they're doing. We'll get to go out and recognize them, more networking. So we're really excited for that opportunity. Then on November 16th, we're going to be having a ribbon cutting with Legacy Real Estate. So they're one of our new chamber members. They reached out to us, and bless you. And we are going to be out there at 1 p.m. to be able to recognize them and their new space that they're in. And here's the big one, is November 18th, we're gonna be holding our annual awards and installation ceremony. So we're well underway for that. At that time, we're gonna announce our Man of the Year, Woman of the Year, Community Service Project of the Year, Male and Female Youth of the Year, and our Small and Large Business of the Year. It's going to be a little bit of a change up. So if you are used to before what we used to do with dinners and tables and all of that, we are hosting it a little bit more like an Oscars awards show. Time's up. And I promise it's going to be a lot of fun. So be on the lookout for that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there someone else that would like to come forward? Do we have anyone? Well, you'll just need to come forward and
Hi, I'm Liam Gotchel, 93 East 8, Apartment 18. I'm coming with the concern of our country's name. It says U.S. The concern is to discuss a name, or you would probably go by as possible name change, rather than explaining what it is, because it's not united under no name. This is just a concern. I'm not too sure how you guys. I don't be like a name is what I propose to discuss for our country, by how means you guys go about. It's my first time being here. I didn't know if there's anything to put in advance, or how you guys would go about that. It's a concern for me, or I don't want to speak on anyone else's experiences or such. So to have a name for our country, to be like any other, like our neighbors, without disappearing into the continent, maybe by sharing its name, which is not a real identity for us to have. We're not really to anything. I don't want to keep going I'm not too sure. Or that's what I propose to discuss as a concern for us as citizens. I'm not too sure how else I should put in writing, or.
this is oral communications, and we don't engage in conversation, but if you'd like to leave your name and address with city staff so that you can address your concerns with city staff.
And that's
You're-
It's here?
Yes, right over there. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else that would like to come forward? Do we have anyone on virtually?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. We will now move on. Under the AB 1234 reports, I'm going to move all the reports, numbers 1 through 15. I'm going to move them to the back after scheduled matters so that we can continue with the council meeting. Now we're going to go into the reports. This is the time for all committee, commission, board reports, subcommittee reports, and staff informational items. Park and Leisure Services Commission. Okay. Library and Literacy Commission.
You're stuck with me till I join my mother in heaven or wherever else we might end up. First of all, I want to thank the council for filling the positions on the commission. It was really nice to have a full house sitting and talking and sharing ideas. And it means a lot to have the proper number of people, and so I'm thanking you. The highlights for September are as follows. Story times, the virtual story times, had 864 English story time people, 789 Spanish, for a total of 1,653. The virtual book club actually attended, 9 people attended this month, and again, I ask bilingual story times, which are held every Thursday at 10 in the library. Hallelujah, we're back to doing things that we're supposed to be doing. There were 104 participants playing educational board games, coloring, kinetics, and other things. And September was National Library Sign-Up Month, and we had 307 new library card holders. And in case you didn't know it, the 18th to 24th of September was Banned Book Week. Oh my God, I was blown away to find out that I know why the Caged Bird sings, one of our former poet laureates. Literacy. We've had some good outcomes. Josephina is working on her skills in English vocabulary, and she is doing very well. James has advanced to level 2 daily math, and Lindsay successfully passed her American history tests, completed her essays, and finished all assignments. So that's good. Now, something new that we started this month, and one of our new commissioners goes all gaga that we have a coloring club for our kids. But art is a way of teaching kids, and it's a way of learning, and it works with many skills. And so that was kicked off on the 5th of October. And National Friends of the Library Week is this week. And on your agenda, it's proposed the MOU so that we can have them open and provide us, like they have in the past, so many benefits for our library. And I'm asking that you please grant that. It's important. We had our annual elections, and we stayed with the same chair and vice chair because nobody else wanted it. And we have a new internet safety policy, which the San Joaquin Valley Library system notified our jurisdiction that our policy hadn't been renewed since October of 2002. So we updated everything, and that staff library staff spent a lot of time on that. And we discussed the grant, and we discussed projects and different things like that. That's my report. It's short but sweet because we got to know our new people. And again, I thank you for appointing them.
Thank you very much. Arts Commission? No. Animal Control Commission?
I'm Kat Harris, and I'm the vice chair on the commission. We had a kerfuffle that I don't know if you've heard about or not, that was on at our last meeting, but I'm going to start out with the ordinances that I gave yeah. So you can follow along with what I'm going to be bringing up. The first thing that we had on our agenda, we were talking about the administrative versus the civil citations that's in the Animal Services Code. What the concern was is whether or not we were actually citing people with the correct citations, because I know a lot of citations go through the Superior Court, and they get the monies for fines, and then it goes up to the state, and it trickles back down into. Whereas with the administrative citations, when people have violated an animal control issue, such as running at large, they should be it would be $100 for a first fine. I know in the report that we had received from Animal Services, there were 73 year-to-date citations. We don't know what kind of a citation it was, and it would potentially be $7,300 that would have gone back into animal control per the animal control ordinances. There were also, and this is another one we were questioning, there's 184 animals returned to their owners. Generally, it's because they've been picked up for running loose or for whatever reason. Were there citations issued for their animals that they were in violation of? That's another potential $18,400 that could have been going into Animal Services. So Ron Moore was going to check into that for us to find out what kind of animals or citations are being issued. So we had a question on that. Now going to the second page of the ordinances that I gave you, and this is where our kerfuffle came into play, and actually started in August. When we had a meeting in August, we talked about ordinance 5-8.8, which concerns the meetings. And by definition, we had determined that Jerry Hall had vacated his seat because he had not been in contact nor in any meeting since 2019. After that, we find out that he had been, we also talked about Art Duran, who had been going to our meetings the whole time. No one knew that his seat termed during the COVID shutdown until the August meeting. So we had asked him to come back, and we thought that and he did apply to come back, and we thought Jerry was gone. Well, then John, or your meeting on, what was it, the 18th, I think, Jerry was voted into the commission. We didn't even know that he was going to be applying. Had no idea, no one said anything. So that led to the kerfuffle that we had on in our meeting on the 13th. And I brought it up, and I didn't plan on it to turn out the way it did, and it just did, but I did, based on the ordinance, ask Jerry to step down, which was fine. He didn't want to. I'm okay with that. But I wanted to bring it to City Council for resolution, because on one hand, he's vacated a seat. On another hand, he's there. So we wanted to bring it in, but before my motion could even be off the floor to get voted on, he blew up and claimed hostile workplace. I didn't even know what that word meant until I got home and looked it up. I've heard of it, but I didn't know what it was. And for that reason, I'm publicly apologizing for Jerry, because I didn't mean for him to get as upset as he did. We just want answers. And I figure that it sounds like it's more like communication issues between you, us, and law enforcement. So with that, we went on ahead and adjourned the meeting, and we'll have a new meeting in January. That's what our meeting was about. Does anyone have any questions?
Please go ahead. You were going to say something? No. Oh, I apologize. I don't have any questions. It's a report that you're giving, but I'm certain that staff will look into it and the communications as far as how they're being presented and that part, it's all submitted to the department and we'll go from there.
Okay. Yeah, and
But
if-
thank you
if
for
it
the
comes out
information.
that you want me gone because of this kerfuffle, I mean, I will, but I need to know, I will, I'm sure you'll reach out. and let
First
me
of
know.
all, it's hard to find volunteers, and those that are there that are willing to work, it's important that you retain as many as you can. So as far as any communication, that will be,
Okay,
okay?
okay, thank you.
You're welcome, thank you. Okay, Youth Commission.
Good evening, Mayor and members of council. I do apologize for the messy hair. I just got out of a water polo game. But my name is Fatima Larcon. I am a Porterville Youth Commission representative attending Harmony Magnet Academy. And tonight, some of us youth commissioners just wanted to take the opportunity to introduce ourselves.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. My name is Ala Saleh, and I am a sophomore attending Harmony Magnet Academy. This is my first year attending Youth Committee Commission. Apologize. And I am so excited to work with my members and the committee. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Cambry Warbach, and I am a senior attending Harmony Magnet Academy, and this is my first year in the Porterville Youth Commission. I'm super excited to be able to be a huge contributor to this wonderful impact that we'll be able to create this year. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. My name is Jen Martinez. I am a senior at Strathmore High School. This is my second year serving here as a youth commissioner, and I'm really excited to do this all over again and for a wonderful, great year that's to come. Thank you.
That is all we have tonight. Thank you for having us.
Go ahead.
I have a question.
Yes?
Did you win the water polo match?
Yes, we won.
Okay.
Ms. Graybill, I want to thank you for taking the lead with Commission. It is it's to be acknowledged, and to the young ladies that are presenting themselves here, I hope that future leaders, and maybe one of these days you'll be sitting up here as well. Of course, good. All right, thank you very much. Okay. The two-talk, do we have any two-talk? No, thank you very much. We'll now go on to the staff informational report.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just a single report that's provided on a monthly basis, which gives an update of what was then Phase 3 for the month of September. For that month, we saw 25% water conservation compared to September of 2013, and cumulatively continue to reflect 25% cumulative savings since the beginning, since September of 2013. There were 56 notices of violations issued for water waste and 3 administrative citations. So happy to answer any questions the council may have. Important to note that beginning October 1st, we also transitioned back to Phase 4, single watering days per week.
Does council have any questions or any comments? Thank you for the report that's been provided.
And thank you for great conservation on the part of our local residents.
Oh, okay. We'll now go on into the consent calendar. All consent calendar items are considered routine and will be enacted in one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these matters unless a request is made, in which event the item will be removed from the consent calendar. All items removed from the consent calendar for further discussion will be heard at the end of scheduled matters. Council, how do you wish to proceed with items 1 through 20? If there are any noted abstentions, conflicts, please state so now.
I move that we pass the items 1 through 20.
We have motion made by Councilmember Stowe for items 1 through 20,
I will second that motion.
and we have a second. No further discussion. Please call for, oh, no, call for, we can vote today. Okay.
For now.
For now, okay. Okay, please. Everybody voted? Okay. Passes unanimous, 5-0. Thank you. We'll now go into scheduled matters.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have one scheduled matter before the council this evening. That is as a follow-up of direction of the city council from your meeting, from your last meeting. So at your meeting of October 4th, city council authorized the scheduling of a special meeting for next Monday, October 24th, beginning at 6 p.m. to conduct the interviews of the qualified applicants to the request for proposals for a wholly local cannabis business operating permit for retail dispensary. Council also directed staff to coordinate with its ad hoc committee, which is comprised of council members Tate and Wyrock, in recommending the interview process. And at its meeting on October 7th, the committee provided the following recommendations to the council consideration. That the order of the interviews of the three applicants would be via a random method or a lottery. And the number of interview participants is limited to not more than 3 people per application. And if participating virtually, that the background of the interviewees be plain with no promotional branding or advertisement for the company in the backdrop. The names of the applicants moving forward in the interview process in alphabetical order are Bloom Farms, Main Street Apothecary, and Uncle Green. For part 1 of the interview, the applicants would be expected to conduct a 15-minute uninterrupted narrated presentation, and the presentations may include a PowerPoint or other similar formatted visual aid, which would be required to be emailed to the designated city staff by not later than 4 p.m. on Thursday, October 20th. The visual aids, and that would, again, that as of this week, the visual aids and/or handouts are limited to a total of 3 pages, including a 1-page executive summary and 2 pages of illustrations of the interior and exterior of the proposed business. And it's requested that the applicants focus on the following elements: that they introduce the proposed business and explain the local ownership structure, describe the primary qualities of their business brand, identify all local and non-local representatives and managers, describe the qualities that set their business apart from the rest, describe the professional qualifications of all applicants, representatives, and managers, provide a 3-year pro forma illustrating all projected startup and general operating costs, estimated gross revenues, and anticipated taxes to be generated, describe their approach to operating a safe and successful cannabis business in the city of Porterville, describe their understanding of the city's community benefits objectives, and outline their proposed community benefits offerings and/or ideas. So that's in their presentation in 15 minutes. Second part of that would be questions posed by the city council, which 15 minutes would then be allotted to each applicant in answering these following questions from the council, which would be provided to the applicants ahead of time. And applicants would have approximately 3 minutes to respond to each of these questions. Describe the applicant's local business experience outside the cannabis industry and local employee count, as well as experience with audited payroll. Describe the applicants and local representatives' experience inside the cannabis industry. What is your experience in the cannabis industry? Who will be your cannabis supplier? And how do you and will you stay current and in compliance with all cannabis business legal requirements and avoid the corruption issues that have arisen in other jurisdictions? Describe your prior experience with community benefits programs and detail any proposed volunteer services, in-kind donations, and/or charitable donations. And if you commence business in the city, where do you see your business in 2 years and in 5 years in terms of economic development? From that, the scoring of the interview, the city council privy determined that the council has a maximum of 50 points to award per applicant, and that each council member has up to 10 points that they may award for each presentation. The council may consider a proposed point scale based on the following, and it's just a general scaling that may formulate an alternative basis for the award. So 1 to 4 points out of that 10 would the applicant failed to adequately respond to the council questions. 5 to 7 points would be applicant responding to the council's questions and meeting expectations, and then 8 to 10 points, the applicant's response to council's questions was exceptional and far exceed expectations. The time discussed by the committee, with the committee recommending that each council member provide their individual scores to the city attorney via email at the conclusion hour at the end of the meeting. And the results of this would be presented to the city council at its next meeting on November 1st. So happy to answer any questions. Representatives of the ad hoc committee, Councilmember Tate and Wyrock are both here as well, so happy to be of any further assistance.
Okay, council members, which direction do you wish to go? You've read the information that was sent to us. Any comment? Councilmember Tate, Councilmember Stowe?
And for me.
One
Vice Mayor?
quick question. Will council be allowed to ask any additional questions?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a great question. Certainly, if council members would like to bring additional questions, previously in the process, that was the case. It would just be asked that that question be asked of each of the applicants.
Correct. Correct.
There is opportunities to ask questions for understanding, I guess I would be. So if there was an uncertainty or lack of clarity to a response for clarification can be asked. But if there was, these are suggested questions. If there are questions the council wishes to bring to the meeting, certainly that what I'd, if you come with a question, that it be presented to the council and that be accepted by the council for the remainder.
Thank you.
That's good. Councilmember Wyrock, Councilmember Tate, thank you for working on this and to be bringing it so that we can move on with the interviews. I don't have a problem with what's been presented. We do have the opportunity to ask the additional question with the understanding that we ask it of all three. So what is it that you need from us? Do we just, a direction that we accept, that we are accepting? Do we need a motion to this?
I'd say we go and authorize the processes set forth in the staff report. I'd ask for a motion on that. Thank you.
Then I'm going to go ahead and ask for that we authorize what's in the report, and I'll make the motion with the understanding that there'll be questions asked by council members, if
That
any.
door is still open.
If any, that the door is still open. So I've made the motion to that regard. Is there a second?
I'll second.
And we have a second. Call for the vote. Passes 4-1. All right. Thank you very much. Then that we will proceed and go on with the interview process. Now that I have pulled all the AB 1234 reports, we are now going to take those under scheduled matters. And the first one would be the Local Initiatives Navigation Center Committee of October the 5th. Councilmember Tate.
We met on the 5th of October, and the Welcome Center it was noted that the Welcome Center has observed an increase in the number of meals being served daily. And our meetings occur bi-monthly, so twice. And then in addition, we have haircuts once a month. The pet services are always in addition. We have essentially focused on a fundraiser. We have a coat drive that we've been doing for the last couple of years. And so we decided to do a fundraiser, which we met again to plan that, and we had a $300 budget, and which wasn't a whole lot, but we pre-sold 200 tickets, and it was a chili verde salad and beans and rice, and all of the food, with the exception, the only thing that we actually had to use our money for that we had allotted was for the containers to serve them. So all of the food was donated by local businesses. And so we worked together on this, and that occurred. And we were exhausted. We were extremely exhausted.
So that takes care of the one for the 5th and the 6th. Are they combined?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
yes.
Eastern Tule Groundwater Sustainability Agency, Councilmember Wyrock.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. I attended the Eastern Tule River Groundwater Sustainability Agency Board meeting with Michael Knight. We met on October 6th. We heard the public hearing related to the groundwater extraction fee and water rate study. We reviewed and heard written protests, and they were accepted through the end of that meeting. They approved a resolution 2022-05, setting the groundwater extraction fee. The consent calendar was reviewed with 4 items for approval, including the minutes from September 1, continuance of the public teleconference meetings, approval of a lease to Rico Properties, and the payment of bills. There were some administrative actions that were discussed and a call for funds. And Michael Knight, Mr. Knight has some detailed information about some of the specifics that occurred during the meeting related to groundwater extraction and a couple of other items during the public hearing. So, Mr. Knight?
Yes, thank you, Councilman Wyrock. Just in addition, in the administration section, they did submit the 2023 Sustainable Yield Tier 1 penalty allocation, which will actually be allocated through 2025. In addition to that, the resolution 202206 established the Tier 1 penalty violation and its rate. The call for funds essentially just covered the city's operational area, the UDV for the city of Porterville. And in that meeting, we also evaluated the land subsidence management plan. And in addition to the review of the plan and the comments received on that plan, we incorporated those comments into the 6th Amendment of the Rules and Regulations established for the Eastern Tule GSA. And we also received reports on the level of participation on accounting and ongoing collection of fees by Four Creeks in reference to the Eastern Tule GSA as well.
Thank you, Mr. Knight.
Thank you very much for the report. Now we'll go into the Southern California Edison Multicultural Celebration of October the 7th. Mr. John Lawless, Yuriko Velarde, and I journeyed to Tulare, where we met Councilmember Wyrock. This event was wonderful. It was their first event after the midst of COVID. They held the event outdoors, and they had everything set up as an outdoor event. It was good to see Cal Rossi, who once represented our area, and always dropped into our city council meetings for some of them. This was an opportunity to reconnect with the agencies and nonprofits with an emphasis on celebrating business and community partnerships. Southern California Edison joined the National Celebration of Global Diversity Awareness to show appreciation to their customers, their business partners, and community organizations. I met the president and the CEO of Edison International, Mr. Pedro J. Pizarro. In the information we had received from him, he framed and he highlighted that we should remember and understand the value of each human being, regardless of their nationality, color, race, sex, gender, country of origin, language, or otherwise. Vice Chairman of the Tule River Tribe was invited to do the welcome and opening prayer, and dancers from the Tule River Tribe in their dedicated dance. Several presenters from a broad sector were invited to speak to their cultural background and what they do in the organization. Edison International and Southern California Edison have a proud history of giving back to the communities. Several students have been award recipients in the past in scholarships amounting to $40,000 per student, pretty much paying for their education. That dollar amount has now been increased to $50,000 for the coming year. AAA Mobile Solutions were the recipients of the Gwenmore Diversity Award, and so was Blair Church and Flynn. Redbird was the recipient of the Community Partnership Award, and it pleases me to say that the Clean Energy Champion Award went to Porterville Unified School District. I was grateful, and I would, Councilmember Wyrick, is there anything you'd like to add to that?
I look forward to next year's. It was an outstanding event, and I was glad to be invited. Thank you.
Okay, we'll now move on to the Cannabis Ad Hoc Committee. Councilmember Wyrick?
We spent some time with staff, Lawana Tate and myself, Councilmember Tate and myself, going over the proposals, and we had quite a bit of discussion around the things that led up to the information for the interviews that we heard earlier from Mr. Lawless. I did spend some time in the community after that meeting, as well as before that meeting, talking to people that have businesses near the two existing dispensaries and other business owners about some questions. The last time we were here at a city council meeting, I recall inviting comments from people in the community to share with us questions that they felt might be important for us to ask of these applicants. Hearing none, that's why I went out on the street. The additional items that we heard tonight about being able to question the candidates is solid, and we fully support that, as you heard tonight. We've also asked, as the Cannabis Committee, to have a look, not at the scores, but at the proposals, so that we can see some details to those proposals, because frankly, we don't want to vote on and score an enterprise that we really don't know what their proposal contains. So staff is working on providing some information for us and for the public, and there'll be more information coming regards to that. That's my report for the committee. We're forward to getting through this process, conducting the interviews. We invite the community to come and be present at the interviews, as well as our next city council meeting, where we'll be discussing the next steps for the award of the next dispensary. Councilmember Tate, anything to add?
No, thank you.
And staff? No? Okay. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. We'll now move on to the Pioneer Days. I arrived around 10 a.m. There were several who had been set up earlier that morning. I walked through the middle of the street, spoke to several who were there early, and there were still people that were setting up. I walked to some of the vendor booths to see what they had. It was exciting to see so many who came to the event that did arrive early. They didn't want to miss the showdown. And if they had a chance to walk by the jail and experience being behind bars, even if it was for a brief moment, they were having fun. By the time I came back close to where I had to be, the line to purchase the rib tickets were long, and they hadn't even set up to the ticket. There was no one there, but the people were waiting. I would like to thank all the work they did in the setup and the constant tasking to make sure the event went smoothly. I saw them going up and down Main Street, going to the vendor booths and making sure that they were attended to. So that was good. That work does not go unnoticed, and it was appreciated. Councilmember Tate, I know you were there. Is there anything you'd like to add to that?
We really enjoyed ourselves. We got to do a lot of tasting, a lot of meeting of individuals. Some of them shared their secrets as far as the rubs that they used on the meat, and told me the whole process, so I got some good instructions. I was arrested real quickly, and I wasn't real sure if I was going to be let out or not. Mr. Townsend had me. It's the same jail that we used up at the Jackass Mill Run. And that was always a fundraiser, because if women didn't wear dresses and men didn't have beards, they wound up in that jail. And you had to beg people to bail you out. And so I was wondering if I was going to have to stay in there all afternoon, because I didn't see anybody I knew that might want to bail me out.
I had already gone by, so.
Yeah, yeah. You
You're on your own.
You escaped and evaded. Yeah, I see how you are. Anyway, it was well attended. People had fun. There was a whole lot of people there, a lot of different booths, a lot of different organizations, a lot of information to share with the public. And now, as we were leaving, because it was extremely hot that day, and it has been all summer long, but we got to see over on the side of the street the lineup for the posse. So we were watching on the sidelines about what was going to happen. We were kind of halfway to our vehicles by then, but I think we've all just had a really good time, and I got to see a lot of people I hadn't seen in a long time. Some people who recognized me that I didn't recognize. You know, beards on faces really confuse me most of the time. So otherwise, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that attended? Okay. We'll now move on to the Tulare County Water Commission. I attended the meeting virtually, including Mr. Lawless and Mr. Knight. There were no public comments. It was the reaffirmation to the resolution to allow teleconference for Water Commission meetings. I have to tell you that we kind of struggled for a quorum. So as we got the quorum, this is what happened, okay? The minutes of August the 8th, 2022 were approved. We received a flood control update by Mr. Ross Miller. It had to do with the operations and projects for 2022-23. The county's flood duties, the floodplain manager, under that auspice is the FEMA designation and the National Flood Insurance Program. The flood control district is the Board of Supervisors. They are the flood control district, and so is the Flood Commission. In public words, they spoke of the emergency operations, what they do. They close the roads as necessary, assist with the storm response, coordinate with the emergency services, fire and sheriff, monitor streams and bridges, staff the emergency operations center. They monitor the burn scars and areas of enhanced threat. Highlighted was the Tolt Hawk water level sensors. They are an ultrasonic water level sensor connected to cellular or satellite. They're used in the streams, tanks, snow, and other applications, and they provide real-time data on water levels and are able to provide alerts on dangerous water levels. Highlighted was the Reservation Road Flood Sign Project. It's an automated warning system. It uses a satellite connected to the water level sensor from Tolt Hawk with safety flashers to alert the drivers. It provides the real-time online data and can send the text alerts immediately. Upcoming and ongoing projects, they mentioned Poplar and the cooperative agreement with Caltrans, the Sultana Stormwater Recharge Project, and continuing to partner with nonprofit for the maintenance of the flood control basin. Water year 2022 highlights: 76% of the average precipitation, ended with reservoir storage at 69%. The driest months were January, February, and March in over 100 years. 2020-2022 is the driest period on record. And with regard to drought and project funding update, with regard to the well permits, this information is from January through September. There are a total of 724, broken into categories. Under construction, domestic is 231, community 0, agricultural 294, industrial 2, dairy 14, destruction 124, other is 59. There are 263 tanks installed and are receiving hauled water. The bottled water program, approximately 1,300 households are enrolled. They are continuing to receive 1 to 2 applications weekly. With regard to the legislative update, the following bills were chaptered. AB 1642, the CEQA Water System and Private Well Exemption. Senate Bill 1157, Urban Water Use, Indoor Residential Water Use. And Senate Bill 230, Constituents of Emergency Concern. Others that did not go through were Senate Bills 1426, 1219, Assembly Bills 2113, 2387. We were provided updates for the DAC program, SIGMA, the SWCB administration program, and there was a welcome to 2 new commissioners, one of them of which I had already announced, which was Rogelio, and there was another person, Terry, who just came on, but they spoke so fast I wasn't able to get the name. Our next meeting is scheduled November 14th, and that concludes that report. Senator Hurtado's ceremonial check presentation, which was on October the 11th. I have never forgotten the day that Senator Hurtado called me. It was on a Saturday afternoon. She shared with me that Porterville would be receiving $10 million toward the Emergency Operations Center. At that moment, when she called to share that, I was speechless because I was happy and grateful because the benefit would be for public safety. And after the catastrophic fire, I speak of it so much because it really was something that you just never forget. On February the 18th, it destroyed the library and the lives of the 2 firefighters. And the city did struggle as to how to reuse the former library site. Both the Figueroa and the Jones families were very instrumental and suggested a facility that supported public safety as well as a memorial garden to appropriately honor Captain Ray Figueroa and firefighter Patrick Jones. It is always an honor to stand with the firefighters and the police officers of this city. And it was so breathtaking as they accepted the $10 million check from Senator Hurtado for the allocation of the $10 million. A special thank you to the Senator for her continued and generous assistance and the support of the city of Porterville. Councilmember Tate, I know you were there. Is there anything you'd like to add?
No, it's just very gratifying to be able to see that we're going to be able to upgrade our system, and that the money's there and available for that purpose. It should enhance our public safety tremendously.
Thank you. Transit Forum, Vice Mayor.
So the Transit Forum through Tulare County Association of Governments, TCAG, was held on Wednesday, October 12th from 1:30 to 3. This was a hybrid meeting, so you can attend in person in Visalia or Zoom. I use the Zoom forum. And so I'm just going to go through briefly. This was my first transit forum meeting. So some of the items that are on the agenda that were covered were, the first topic was funding grants and programs. So there were some updates around state funding, including the Clean California Round 2, the Transit and Intercity Rail Capital Program, Cycle 6, and then same program, Cycle 5 project updates. Other updates around funding and grants were FTA federal funding, and that included the Advanced Transportation Technologies and Innovative Mobility Development Program. So a lot of new acronyms to get used to in this new committee. There was information sharing. This included quarterly ridership reports and general updates. There was another topic on planning and documents, and that included the Tulare County Coordinated Transportation Plan updates, and then the Cross Valley Corridor phase, including the Operations Plan, RFP. And then some other topics that were discussed was the regulations or legislation that includes current tasks in progress or proposed laws. The first item was the Transit Asset Management Plan, and then the Public Transportation Agency Safety Plan updates. And then the last item that was discussed was provider updates, and the two for this meeting were the Visalia Transit and the TCRTA. The next meeting will be held on Wednesday, November 9th, same time, 1:30 to 3. That concludes
Thank
my
you.
report.
Thank you very much for that. We have another link committee, Councilmember Tate, October the 12th.
October the 12th was the day of the drive-through event. Excuse me, I'm so sorry.
Okay.
But I would like to add some things to my remarks, if possible. It was, we did all the cooking there at the church on Henderson. And we managed to, I believe, I haven't gotten a count yet, we'll be doing a wrap-up pretty soon, but we were able to raise more than $2,000 for our coat drive. And so it was very successful. In fact, I think we wound up selling a few extra dinners. So when that happens, I'll be able to talk to you about that. Then at the next link meeting, we're going to actually be doing the coat drive that day. We've already got purchase orders put together and selected what we're going to do as far as buying coats and sleeping bags and things like that that we need to. We had a tremendous community turnout because it was also a coat drive and sweaters. So we had several different places throughout the city where people were dropping them off, and we've collected them all. They're all being dry cleaned. And so those are going to be available. So it was a really good community effort. Everybody worked together and made a lot of new friends and a lot of contacts through this whole, I don't want to overuse the word networking, but it works. So anyway, it was gratifying. We were really tired. It was hot. So that's about it.
Thank
Anyway,
you.
thank you.
Calvan's board, Vice Mayor.
Yes, so I wasn't able to attend this meeting, but I did see the emails that we weren't having trouble getting a quorum. So what I would like to do is provide, at the next meeting, provide updates on this one and then the next meeting that will be coming up in November.
Of course. Thank you. The Tulare County Association of Governments Sustainable Corridors Committee, October the 13th. We had not met since January 20 of 2022. Most everyone attended virtual. It was Mr. Jason Reidenauer and I that did attend from Porterville. I was asked to chair the committee meeting until Supervisor Townsend arrived. He had a meeting which overlapped with this one, so it was no problem to begin the meeting. There were no public comments. The minutes of January 20, 2022 were approved. The membership roster that was brought forth in the event, there were changes made. They should be forwarded to Kasha. I thanked her for updating the roster for Porterville, both the names and the corrections. Caltrans updates included the Clean California, the efforts removing litter, creating jobs, educating the public, engaging the community to transform unsightly roadsides, adopt a highway, how individuals could help maintain sections of roadside, litter collection, how to beautify our region's transportation network through art and litter cleanup projects, highlighted the city of Visalia and the city of Porterville, the partnerships and the agreements that had been signed, corridor beautification strategies that are ongoing projects. During the meeting, there was a strong emphasis that was made for the city of Porterville in their efforts in continuing in working with agencies in regard to the litter removal program, and of course their partnership with CSET and Caltrans, and the community identifier status of the Mighty 190. Also, what that was shared, screening unsightly views, planting plans for the city of Porterville. This was part of the Caltrans update. There was an update on the Clean California local grants, and I'm going to see if Mr. Reidner could kind of put closure to that one, because that conversation was going in many directions for the Clean California grants.
Yes, so there'll be a new round of Clean California grants that'll be open in January. And so the city intends to apply for this round of Clean California grants that we have in the past. So we'll be looking at opportunities. I know staff has signed up for a webinar meeting with Caltrans to learn more about the guidelines for this new round of funding. And so we'll be working with Caltrans as well as TCAG to establish an application that we believe will be competitive.
Thank you very much. That concludes that report. TCAG, we met yesterday, but I'm going to carry that one over because I'll summarize it and bring it back to the next council meeting. The Tulare County Regional Transit Agency. Councilmember Wyrock.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We met last night. We were not able to have a quorum. However, we went through the agenda and took no formal action under the leadership of the chairman, Jose Signoria, and our executive director, Rich Tree. There was a safety committee report that TransDev is still working to submit their safety plan and to have it reviewed by staff. The staff has reached out, and they estimate that it should be available soon. They also reported during the safety committee report that private security is being evaluated and will soon have it available in the various transit centers throughout the county. The director's report covered quite a few different things. Collecting of funds on the routes. It takes them a while to get all the cash out of the boxes and then counted by hand and then moved around. We were talking about safety of the people carrying those fare boxes, and also finding some methods to count the money a little bit quicker. There's also some planning underway for some micro-transit app to where in a short period of time you can have an app on your phone and it'll help you travel throughout the area. It'll also help you ask for a vehicle to your location, and then it would show up and be able to ride. So they're working with some different software vendors. There's 3 in particular. There are some challenges countywide to configure it. But they will work diligently to help that get resolved. They kind of related to that is just a regional fare collection system that can be electronic, and we just don't want people to have an app on their phone and go to the unit that they're going to be boarding, and all of a sudden they bought the wrong ticket or the wrong monthly pass. And we want to be sure that there's an educational process and it becomes very intuitive for the people that will be using the app. There was a school district that reached out, I'll say probably a local school district, and they were looking for some partnering with the agency to provide like a charter service, if you will, to be able to augment the school buses that currently take students on field trips and to different community presentations. There was a little bit of discussion about that. The next meeting where we will review these minutes or this agenda and additional items on the agenda will be occurring on October the 20th. It's a special meeting because we didn't have a quorum. It'll be at 5:30 p.m. We'll be talking a little bit about an audit also for the administrative services at that time. And in closing, well, 2 things in closing. If you know anybody that's looking for work and they have a commercial driver's license and they can drive those types of vehicles, school buses and larger, there is a call for drivers. We don't seem to have enough drivers available, and I was actually driving around town where a district has some buses stored and they have a banner on their fence looking for drivers. So if you know anybody who's underemployed, who's got the qualifications and they'd like to apply, there is that availability. Also, finally, the information related to the next meeting on October 20th is available on the website, and I invite everybody, as I always do, to participate. You can participate virtually. You can attend it. It's on Church Street in Visalia, and the information's all available through their website. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. The next is the Finca Serena Community Partner Meeting. That was held this morning, and it was here in council chambers. It was coordinated by Upholdings and Teresa Benavides, and it was with the emphasis of the Finca Serena project located at 358 Southeast Street. It's the new development. It will be the 80-unit service enriched near downtown Porterville. The development will target the mixed income families and include a set aside for households with disabilities or facing homelessness. The project will incorporate 1, 2, and 3-bedroom units. It's a spacious with spacious community areas, both outdoor and indoor recreation spaces. It has, the purpose of this roundtable was to share with us the services, self-help enterprises. CSET was in attended, the Kings Tulare Homeless Alliance. And there was a representative from a Fresno organization that came to the table, but this was so that there could be dialogue and ask questions and be able to participate with the partners about the services. And they put the emphasis on mental health. As they get going, they have already hired, the regional manager is there, well, not there, but, and Teresa Benavides is a community partnership. And they will be hiring a property manager as well as a community contact person. They anticipate that the first be available in January. The second 39, those are committed and with an emphasis on homeless and veterans and severe mental disorders. So the conversation was also with Finca Serena, who was also involved in this project, and they explained the process as to the intake, the referral, and how it's going to be, and that they will also have somebody available to ask them questions directly as to the project, as to the services, as to the housing. And I know that city staff, Mr. Reidener was there, our city manager was present, and so was Councilmember Tate. I was invited because I have served on the Tulare County Task Force on Homelessness since 2016, when the Finca Serena project was just barely in discussion, and how it was going to be partnered and how it was going to go. And that conversation was started 4 years ago, and this is where we're at now. Is there anything you'd like to add, Councilmember Tate?
I liked hearing about the supports and services that are going to be provided to the residents that are there so that they are going to be able to have on-site management available. There's going to be a computer room, exercise room, community space. The programming and the supportive services are geared towards enhancing health, economic security, education achievement, and personal well-being. It's energy efficient, the building is, the apartments or dwellings. There's a laundry room on site and playgrounds there with connections to local trails. There's going to be some self-care provided. There's people that are going to need some assistance, and that's all going to be available. So this is something that's, as our mayor has just stated, has been in planning for a long time, and it's finally going to come to fruition, okay?
What was important in the dialogue and in the discussion, I'm just adding more to it, how important it was for them to work with our navigation center and our welcome center because of the services that was provided. That was an emphasis that was important to bring to the table as far as a discussion to serve some of the clients that are already living and residing in there, and that they could be transitioned into housing. That was pretty much what happened this morning. That concludes the information. And now we can go into Oral communications, is there anyone that would like to come forth in oral communications?
Good evening. Radine Strawn, 54 West Stanner Avenue, Porterville, California. I just wanted to state my opinion again on this cannabis dispensary awarding. You have, and like I said last council meeting, you have put Bloom Farms in a bad position since 2019. Their money's been held up, their application was already approved, and now you're putting it out to 2 other companies for them to come in and interview for the same license. I just feel that that's very unfair because Bloom Farms went through the whole process. You awarded points to them. They were put on the list, and the other 2 people that were on the list dropped out and decided they didn't want it, didn't want the dispensary. Bloom Farms stayed on the list, and now you're making them go through this process all over again. I just think it's very unfair. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Greg Meister, 1160 Jean Avenue. I wanted to talk real quick on item 17 with the Christmas parade. Glad to see that we're going to be going back to night 7 to 9 p.m. Restoring tradition here in Porterville, and I want to second Mike Hill earlier when he works for Porterville Unified, and he was talking about wanting to bring back the rivalry between Monache and Porterville. I went to Monache High School, and I remember that rivalry, and it was a lot of fun. To item number 21, the cannabis business operating permit. If these businesses score high enough, why not permit all 3 businesses? This would create more jobs in our community. We'd create more tax revenue from those jobs that are created, and it would create competition between these businesses and possibly drive the price down of the product, effectively benefiting the constituents, right, that use this product. Lastly, you know what, I'll leave it, I'll wait for the next go on the, since it's only 3 minutes, but I appreciate your guys' time. Thank you for your service. Miltstow, thank you.
I'm sorry for coughing.
No, you know, I seen you up here battling all night. You gave the no vote. You stood on your ground for your morals, and we really appreciate you. The city does. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to come forward? Do we have anyone on virtually?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. We'll now move on to other matters. Councilmember Tate.
Boy, I was enjoying that piece of candy. I've just really enjoyed us being able to get back to meeting in person and having community events. We've come a long ways when I think of where we were a year ago. So I'm just thrilled about that. I am looking forward to things to come as far as other events. Some of the traditions that you talk about that you know, I think I'm a little older, so those traditions are a little different as far as what we did with competition between the schools. I'm from the first class of Monache. So some of that competition we had back then got kind of crazy. Porterville put in our Union Square, started it when we were freshmen, MHS sucks with weed oil. Then mysteriously, by the time we were juniors, we stole the Panther. Wait, no, we didn't. I'll never tell. And then when we returned it, it had pink polka dots. So, it went on, and then it got to the point where it became a little bit too much competition, especially if one team or the other won a championship. So, but that's my recollection, and we tried to have a good time, but it got a little bit out of control. We were just freshmen, and there was graffiti all over our brand new buildings. So it was an amazing time, and as long as we moderate it, I think it's pretty good. As far as our other community events, there's been many different ways. When I was doing Pioneer Day, I remember the very first one was during the centennial. That's how old I am. And so it made me sort of reminisce about those days and the things that they did and some of the traditions that they did back at that time. And so there's all kinds of things that we could revisit for the future. I hope everyone's been in good health, and I just am happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Wyrock?
I like the idea and hearing about the traditions between the high schools. I think ribbons on Main Street is probably not a bad thing, and I think that the administrations would have a lot of fun with the kids, getting it rekindled and keep it under control. I drove by the Pioneer Days and really saw the impact that the community was being, blessed with, to be able to get out and do that kind of thing. And before the meeting tonight, we were talking about barbecuing briskets, an officer and myself, and maybe there'll be a challenge between the Porterville Police Department's briskets and the council's briskets next year. Nothing like good barbecue. I hope everybody got to enjoy that. I did notice this week some landscaping around the Veterans Park taking place. Wanted to kind of give a shout out to Park and Recs for that and for our city services with landscaping. Today there was a blast email or a text message from Mr. Lawless related to a gas line that was struck here in Porterville during some construction work. And it was no small line, it wasn't just a little service line, a little plastic line going to a house, but it was a steel main, about 2 inches in diameter, high pressure. And I stopped by the site after the response had left. And I just want to compliment the fire department for their response. The contractor's superintendent was very pleased. He had kind words to say. He said the fire department showed up with the proper type of gas meters, monitoring the explosive levels downwind and parallel the houses to make sure that there would be no buildup of gases. So I just wanted to thank the fire department for their response and their professionalism and their ability to respond to situations and professionally. Also to the Porterville Police Department, there's been some community issues that arise. I'm not sure where I read about this one where some kids were taken and some negotiations took place, and the person with the kids decided to return and drop the kids off and I believe was arrested. And, those aren't easy things to do, and our professionals in fire and in police do it well. Today, the Board of Supervisors met, and they were discussing Pedestrian Safety Month, and a fact was shared that I think it was 2 people are killed a day in the state alongside of roadways. And I know when cell phones came out, it was a big push not to use your self-drive, and people would get pulled over and ticketed. And I've caught myself, looking at my phone, looking away from the road, and just that short minute, that short 10 seconds can lead to tragedy. And I've been checking myself, and to hear the supervisors talk about it, I just want to share that if you're a distracted driver, if you let things get in place of your actual activity of getting your vehicle safely down the road, check yourself and do something about that and try to focus on your driving when you're driving. I really liked the tough report that Kat gave related to the library. Ethical lady, working hard, appreciated that report. The holiday season's coming up. We're hearing about less fortunate in the community being serviced with different things. I am noticing Toys for Tots boxes around in the different stores. So if you can, I just want to invite the community to spend a little money and drop a toy off in the box some young child will receive. When I remember when I was a kid, I got a little plastic fire truck, and with a single mom and 8 of us kids, and she worked nights and was probably close to minimum wage, that fire truck that somebody donated ended up in my hands. So I know I'm going to make use of these Toys for Tot boxes, and I invite the community to do so as well. Just a couple more things briefly, Madam Mayor. Received a call from a concerned citizen. I invite those. I welcome those. Worked with staff right away to ensure that we had a timely response to our neighbor. And I just want to invite anybody, a resident of the City Council District 4, to call, even my special advisors who really didn't support my appointment. Be happy to turn a listening ear and hear what's important and try to help you solve things that you're coming across. One last thing, the homelessness and Finca Serena partnering. You know, if we don't plan for those types of services, if we don't improve the ability for people to navigate through those different challenges. I mean, sometimes I have a hard time navigating the DMV or a renewal to a homeowner's insurance policy. I can't imagine what it would be like to have to manage my way through mental health situations, but I know some people who are. And to hear what we're doing here for the less fortunate is going to prevent further bigger problems possibly down the road for ourselves and our other residents here in the community. So that's what I really wanted to share in closing. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Stowe?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Most of you, or some of you may know, some of you may not, but the former mayor of Tulare and a good friend is in the hospital, Mr. Craig Vavida, to have a heart transplant. And ironically, he has developed the same disease that I have, amyloidosis. And it's very, very rare. Probably 200,000 people in the whole world would get this, and both in the same region have this disease. Not very many people make it through it, but hopefully they've caught it in time, and he'll get his transplant, and he'll be healthy in the future. And I just ask everyone if your prayers go out for him and keep him in mind. And you also may be thinking, you know, why am I up here coughing all over everybody, spreading what I have? Well, I promise you it's not contagious. I just have a congestive valve in my heart, and it's making me cough. And hopefully, you know, they'll take care of this too, and I'll be on with it. But, you know, I must say the good Lord always has perfect timing. It's come down to the end of my term of here council, and now I'm starting to have a few problems with my health again, so it's perfect for me. It's good time for me to step out. Thank you. And the council and the staff, I do hope there's somewhere that we can make the Wenatchee Porterville ribbons on the light poles happen without our consent, and so I would appreciate that very much.
Yeah, typically it's been that's been a request that's been considered by the city council. Most Family Crisis Center, as an example, would ask for that as part of their domestic violence. That's the most recent purple, but talking with the city attorney, I think there's a way, if we document it very well, what would be allowed and what would not be allowed in that regard.
Okay. Good.
Okay.
So we'll work with them.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor.
Just a few things. So I missed our last meeting. I've been working a lot, and that last meeting I was on travel, actually out of state to Connecticut to attend a National Native American Finance Officer conference. And they have it twice a year. It's held all over the nation. And this one was hosted by the Pequot tribe. And all the items that are shared are not just relevant to tribes, because there's all these finance entities, and they talk about grants and infrastructure and things like that a lot. So the keynote speaker was the United States Treasurer, who's a Native American woman, and she was just sworn in September. So that was really amazing to hear her story, hear about her tribe, hear her work that she's done up to that point, and then her current status. as well as hosted by chairpersons from around the nation as well. And then two really full days, and then 2 really full days of travel back for me. But with all that, I just wanted to say, I've really missed being at a lot of these community events. I know that for me and my family and my community, in, Porterville and the reservation, it's good to see more socializing going on with the different sports and these parades coming up, and, with the city and the county, the tribe, and around the area. I'm really looking forward to these events. I'm very proud of our mayor, the leader, and our other council members and our staff that have been attending all these events and committees and boards. As you can hear from the reports, these are the things that we all take part in, and then in addition, all the meetings. So there's a lot of networking and partnership going on. But one of my favorite things to hear about is the resources and the things that are going on for the homeless and expanding services. It seems like it takes a long time, but there's also a lot of work and effort and people that have been involved for years doing this. Another thing that I wanted to acknowledge is the different cleanup events coming up from our city. Really wanted to acknowledge the city for doing those events every year. And one event that I'm looking forward to is the veterans, not just the parade, but the veterans run, because I always take part in that every year with my family and friends. I wanted to continue to thank our police and fire, who we do get a lot of updates of things that are going on, just so that we're aware of urgent things or emergencies. And so we know a little more of what they have to deal with. So I just want to, I always thank the ladies for the prayers when they pray for our police officers and our firefighters. And then last, I just want to mention another thank you to Senator Hurtado for allowing our city to obtain that $10 million for the emergency center. Very important and also meaningful to our community as a whole. And that's all I have tonight.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. October the 12th began early morning for me. I arrived at Stafford's for coffee with a cop. And this is always, it hadn't happened in quite some time, and it's always a good venue for the community to come and speak to the officers, public safety, and just have a conversation with them. I stayed there for about 45 minutes. We always continue to say that it's a good networking venue, but this itself is so that we could have a conversation, ask questions of the officers personally, and engage the community with conversation with the fire and the police departments. So thank you to those that were in attendance. At noontime on this same day, I attended the Tulare Kings Hispanic Chamber of Commerce Ambassador Luncheon, which are held at La Cocina de Doña Maggie. Also in attendance was Mr. Lawless, our city manager. These luncheons are held monthly in Hanford, Visalia, and Porterville. For Porterville, they are on the second Wednesday of each calendar month. It is a networking venue for businesses. Some of the people that have attended are from the Visalia, Tulare, and Lindsay area that have come to promote and talk and meet people from Porterville. They always have a luncheon speaker. They also have a roundtable business announcement. Debbie Landers presented this month with the health and wellness, promoting her business. Next month, the person scheduled to speak will be Rogelio Cadillo from the Eastern Tule Groundwater Sustainability Agency. This same evening, I journeyed to the Porterville Chamber Food Tasting and Business Showcase at the Veterans Memorial Building. I always enjoy going to this event, and I had missed it. So it was an opportunity to stop by at each station, to speak to the people that were there, to network, and of course, to eat, to taste the food that was there. Again, to reconnect, reacquaint with several, and to meet new people. This event is always well attended, and I was glad to have been there. On the 14th of October, I was invited to attend the Bryant-Kern Canal Repair Legislative Check presentation by the Office of Senator Hurtado. I spoke on behalf of the city with the emphasis that the water is the lifeblood of our existence, the essential commodity that supports both our households and our local economy. The Bryant-Kern Canal serves as an irreplaceable role in providing the critical drinking water to many communities between Fresno and Kern counties, many of which are disadvantaged, as well as crops and the orchards that defined our area as the nation's breadbasket. Again, a thank you to Senator Hurtado for securing the $100 million in state funding to help restore the Bryant Canal. On October the 15th, I am a member of the Exchange Club, and I want to thank my fellow Exchangites for their dedication and their countless hours in the preparation of the treasure trove and a successful event. It was good to see some of you there. Their mission on child abuse prevention and awareness, as well as the community projects that they are involved with. I have been invited on October the 19th by the American Legion Auxiliary to their annual Girls and Boys State Return Dinner. It's always good to hear what each student, to hear them speak of what their experience was, where it is that they want to go after having visited the state offices and just come back, and how they're going to incorporate that in the future. So I'm looking forward to that. I will also be attending the Central California Family Crisis Center Candlelight Vigil on the 20th in support of their advocacy of domestic violence awareness. And that concludes what I have to say. Mr. Lawless?
Thank you. Just a couple of items. First, I again want to thank Donnie and Amy for their tremendous work in planning the Pioneer Days and the great opportunity that presented for the community, as well as the staff that were involved in the cleanup and the fall cleanup this past weekend and the time spent. It looked like there was a lot of activity, both in the household. I spent a little bit of time over by the counties, and that there was a fair number of folks that were bringing some of those hazardous materials that we can't receive over there. So it was good to see a lot of activity on both sides. In terms of birthdays, Javier celebrated one recently, so got a chance to celebrate them.
Is that him? Jay, Javier.
Yeah, that's yeah. I guess he just goes by Jay, or so, so on and so forth. So, and then we have a member of council that's celebrating a significant birthday on Thursday of this week.
Oh my gosh.
If I can make it 2 more days, we will.
Might have heard it was 70. I don't know. That could be just a great exaggeration.
I'm right behind you, council member.
And finally this evening, I do wish to make a special announcement, and then it's my pleasure to announce Brian Cogburn as the next fire chief of the Porterville Fire Department.
I must say, Mr. Lawless, that's a wonderful choice.
Yes.
I had the opportunity, and I'll invite Brian to come up and just say a couple of words, but had the chance to sit with Brian and the fire chiefs from City of Tulare, City of Visalia, and the County of Tulare. So the 4 chiefs now, I guess you could say, and able to sit with them and talk about the state of the fire service in Tulare County and how interconnected we are with each other, and many times Tulare County has to fend on its own, and especially Porterville, given the geographic distance that we have from each other. So Brian's well regarded in his chief circles. They made that very clear, that in the exceptional job that he's done over the last year, since November of 21, when he assumed the role as acting chief, just being thrown into administration, and beyond that, still in recovery efforts from the library fire, as well as COVID and the impacts that had on his personnel, and providing the appropriate emergency response to those that were asking for it. So just did an exceptional job and is well regarded by his peers. He actually just made here this evening because he's been over in San Luis Obispo presenting to the Central California trainers. I blew that, Brian, speaking on the library fire, and he's a bit on the speaking tour now. He's going to be in Orange County. He's going to be up in Northern California presenting on that as well. And he also has been accepted into the National Fire Academy, and will be going there next year. And he'll be the only National Fire Academy. There is nobody in Tulare County that is a National Fire Academy graduate. So it really speaks to his credentials, and just can't speak enough to his qualifications and experience and skill that he brings to the department. So, Brian? And he's joined by his lovely wife, Alicia, here today as well. It's nice to see her.
Thank you, Mr. Lawless. Mayor, members of council, thank you for this opportunity. I'm beyond proud and excited to be up here in front of you representing the department as we move into the future. Like Mr. Lawless said, I was speaking with the Training Officers Association from the Central Coast. I had lunch today with the fire chief from Santa Maria. And the efforts that we've done, led by your approval and your guidance with the SART, is making changes throughout the fire service, throughout the state of California. So we are leading that charge, and we'll continue to do so. With that, thank you for this opportunity, and I appreciate that.
Thank you. We're happy. That's good news. Thank you. Okay, it is 8:07, and we